you're watching McTavish, you're watching Troy Terry, Minchikov, Lacombe. These are the guys who are going to be here when the games matter again. And I mean, they matter now to a different degree, but to me, like, you can't be too upset about how it looks when it's guys like Ross Johnston or Sam Carrick or, even Frank Vatrano, like guys who are just not, who I don't think are part of the long-term nucleus of the team.
Yeah, I think the one thing kind of you mentioned the penalty kill, and I actually did a little bit of digging over the weekend on this because I was curious about it. Because NHL Edge, I don't use it for basically anything, but to its credit, it has zone percentages and possession time, I guess, from that perspective of how much time you spend in the zone. And I can't remember which game, but maybe it was the Toronto game, maybe it was the Ottawa game, or maybe it was the Montreal game. One of those games made me think about the fact that it feels like the Ducks never have an easy kill. Like the Ducks power play feels like there are plenty of kills against where they end up getting stopped at the blue line or they dump it in, a defending team gets it, chips it out, and that's kind of the way it goes for the entire kill. And I could not for the life of me remember a time where the Ducks really had a penalty kill where it felt like it was that easy, where it felt like they were able to disrupt a zone entry, get the puck back, shoot it down the other way, and that was primarily what happened the entire time. It feels like the majority of the time they are in their own zone and they're not able to recover pucks along walls. They have guys kind of just floating in different spaces and not exactly recognizing the spot that they really need to get to be able to restrict chances. And so I took a look at the NHL data, just looking at percentage of time in the defensive zone on a penalty kill. And guess what? The Ducks ranked second in that. I think it was like 60 some odd percent, 63.9% of the time on the PK. And I actually did, if you go to my Twitter, I did a little chart on it and just comparing expected goals against to defensive zone time. And there's a direct correlation there. And the Ducks are one of the worst teams. I think Montreal is the only team that allows more high quality looks, more expected goals against.
No need to mention that.
More expected goals against per penalty or per 60 on the penalty kill than the Ducks. And so the Ducks having this penalty kill that just bleeds high quality or bleeds chances against and expected goals against, and also cannot get out of their own zone, mixed with a team that is going to take the most penalties in what did the broadcast say in the history of the league? Is that what it was?
No, last decade.
Sorry. In the last decade, that is not a recipe for success right there. Like that is something that really the coaching staff and Greg Cronin should be focused on. And while yes, you're spot on that kind of some of the guys on the kill may not be here long term, but this is a perfect time to start figuring out who will be on your kill, because a guy like Troy Terry is a perfect guy. He's probably one of the best of player, or he is the best player on the Ducks. He is one of the best defensive forwards in the league. You look up goals against replacement and defensive metrics for that. He is up there top 10, I believe, in those types of metrics. And the fact that he has not even gotten a sniff of the penalty kill this year is something that is kind of a shame, because I think he's a guy where not only is he good defensively, but he's also one of the most high-skilled players and can read plays. You look at like a Mitch Marner and how he's successful on the penalty kill and is someone that helps the Toronto penalty kill a lot. Troy Terry is kind of in that same mold where he not only is good defensively, but will think the game right, jump into those lanes right. You also have Jakob Silfverberg, who's also one of the best defensive forwards in the league this year, has barely played on the penalty kill in the last, I don't know, it's like 30 or 40 games. And he's
barely played on the PK at all.
Yeah, exactly.
This season.
And so the fact that he is not getting a look, and the fact that Isaac Lundestrom has not really gotten a regular look on the penalty kill either. Like, these just feels like easy guys of, okay,
well, is Isaac Lundestrom a good penalty killer?
He's been good defensively this season.
Okay.
So I would say I would prefer him over Frank Vatrano.
Well, so the Silfverberg thing, I do kind of understand why he's not killing penalties. Like, he's older, and I think, well, also at the World Championship, didn't he re-aggravate his blood clot blocking a shot in his leg?
I don't remember, actually.
Well, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
Okay,
someone
correct
me if I'm wrong, but if I would understand keeping him out of a shot blocking situation if that is a possibility.
That's fair.
But to your point, like, my thing is this. Okay, yes, the penalty kill is awful. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But who is coming in to save this penalty kill? Yes, you could put you could put Troy Terry, and that would help. You could play Jakob Silfverberg more if that is feasible. But you look at the defensemen that are out there, like Cam Fowler, Ilya Labushkin. These are the guys that are getting the most minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think you really have the horses for a great penalty kill on this team right now. And also,
No.
yes, the system, they give up a lot of shots from the flank, which to me is kind of like puzzling because that's something that you're trying to prevent
Yeah.
as a team, is like the one-timers from, and some of that though is just like the personnel, like Frank Vatrano, Adam Henrique. How many blown assignments, how many just mental gaffes have we seen? And those are the guys that are getting trusted. Those are their two of their top three forwards in ice time for the penalty kill this season.
Yeah, and I mean the Tage Thompson goal was a prime example of that, where
he got two wide open one-timers,
and Vatrano was just kind of standing there in the slot and not really defending anyone, not taking up any space, not in a
he's defending air.
Yeah, great point. He's not really in a shooting lane. Like, maybe if you squint, he's in a shooting lane from whoever it was at the point. But what's more dangerous, that point shot or the Tage Thompson shot? That point shot you give up every day of the week, and don't worry about blocking it. And Gibson should have that.
Well, because the thing that they're trying to do is that they have one guy pressuring the puck, and then the other guy, I think, is he's trying to adjust off of that. But a lot of the times, one guy will go pressure the puck, and the other guy will just stay there and just stand around, and then that's an easy decision for the puck carrier to make, because he just has to get it over to the next open guy, and then you have a 2-on-1. Yeah. And that happens over and over and over again. So yes, part of it is the system, but also I just think the personnel is just not getting it done.
But the fact that, I guess, kind of putting this back on Cronin and Brent Thompson here, of if you have one of the worst penalty kills in the league that is on one of the most penalized teams in the league, there has to be some sort of change that happens. Like, Vatrano should not be continually trotted out there on the penalty kill. Henrique should not be continually trotted. Like, there should be adjustments made, and it feels like those two have been on the penalty kill all season because they have been. And so those are the types of things where you can look at Cronin, and I think before tonight's game or today's game, you could say a similar thing just about the lineup. The lineup was the same, and there weren't really changes to the entirety of the lineup. There weren't juggling of the lines. There weren't anything. It was just putting the same exact lineup out there, and you were getting similar results in terms of how they were playing. And so I think at least going into this game, okay, there were changes. There was the fact that they had swapped out. What was the swap? They put Alex Killorn with Leo Carlson, because that was not the line that was there against Toronto, and they had dropped Henrique down to with Silverberg and Lundestrom.
Honestly, Henrique in that third line center role today had a rough start like everyone, but I thought that he actually came around. Like, I mean, obviously he scored a goal, winning battles, but to me, like, that's just, like, I hate to say it, and I know that the numbers maybe don't agree with my eye test, but that's just what he is at this point. Like this dude is just not a top six forward in the NHL anymore, and that's okay.
He's been put in that position because of the protection he's at next to Carlson and Terry largely. Yeah. And so that's kind of papered over that. I do think, now I'm just kind of going to give a little bit of flowers here after we were just super critical of a lot of things. I think Silverberg and Lundestrom, though, have been really, really good together. Yeah,
that line was solid today.
Well, them two with whoever you put with them has typically been solid in almost every single game. And I'm very curious if they keep Ryan Strome there. I know it's not ideal.
Where are you going to put him, though? Like, what are you going to do is my question.
No, and I know it's not ideal that you kind of have to put a $5 million player with these guys to kind of help mitigate the disaster defensively that he can be. But I think that that's a really good spot where they maybe can lessen the load on him in their own zone. And they're two guys that really do well in the forecheck. And that's something Strome has not done well, and he can be more of a support role player on that line. And so I think that I'm curious how that line keeps going as they move forward. And then I guess just jumping to the fourth line, if Brett Leeson is healthy, which I think he is, and Brock McGinn is no longer healthy, he has been put on IR, but there's no reason that Ross Johnston should be in the lineup. I know he helped create that goal today, but overall that line was on the negative side of 50%.
Well, he also 50%. Just barely plays. He plays like 7 minutes a night. It's just he's not. It's just a waste of a roster spot.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it.
And that's where it comes to, is like, I think you can make the argument of, is that really that impactful in many of these games? Maybe not.
It's not.
But No, I'm just talking about Ross Johnson and swapping him out for maybe a Brett Leeson in that situation. Maybe
Well,
it's
at
not
least
going to
you
be
can find out what you have in these guys. Like there's so much more to be gained, even if it's not
exactly.
gonna like be the difference in a win and a loss.
Exactly. And I think that's where it is right now of Ross Johnson just doesn't really do a whole lot for you in that situation.
Well,
And
Greg Cronin straight up laid it all out.